Well, we finally made it. The final season is a great conclusion to the Clementine saga that was built up for 7 years, and to be honest, I'm very intimidated to be doing this video. Walking Dead the final season was the main reason that I started YouTube after playing it for the first time over 1 year ago. I absolutely love this entry in the series, and Skybound made everything work in my opinion. Skybound developed The Walking Dead the final season after old Telltale shut down, and Skybound now primarily owns the right to the Walking Dead games, and they've done very well so far. They made the Definitive Edition and the Saints and Sinners VR game, which is my favorite VR game of all time. There are also comic books coming out about Clementine, which I will most certainly review. I want to do this game its well-earned justice, so without further ado, let's put the series to rest and get in the story. I like this episode a lot. It's a great way to set things up for the rest of the game, and I like the characters in this game a lot, as well as their fine gameplay that is present here. You begin episode 1 by having a recap of everything that happened, and you basically get to make your own story here. It then cuts to a 16-year-old Clementine driving a 6-year-old AJ in the backseat, meaning that this game takes place after the events of the McCarroll Ranch, but we'll get to that way later. I feel like I should say that the graphics for this game are fantastic, and it shows the decay of everything that's happened. You eventually get to a train station, and when you get inside, you see a Walker couple similar to the shot of the dead couple in episode 4, season 1. Right off the bat, the game tells you that your actions affect how AJ ends up. You then get inside of a room and find some food under a rigged trapdoor that explodes. That leads to a very cool shot of you and AJ escaping from walkers. When you get in the car, walkers start attacking it, which I find to be a great scene, and I never really mentioned the first person shots because they felt unneeded, and I still feel that way, but this game does do it in a very cool way. Car ends up crashing and you pass out after seeing AJ being taken away. And then it cuts to opening credits with Waiting Around to Die by the Be Good Tanyas. I really wish I can share this song, but copyright is a thing, so I can't do that. You wake up in a room with your head bandaged, and when you escape the room, you meet Tennant and Marlon, and while he's showing you around, you meet Willie, Omar, Lewis, Violet, and Ruby, all in different order. Marlon then tells you that you are in St. Eric's boarding school for troubled youth, and then he has to go deal with walkers, and tells you to go see AJ. When you find him, Lewis tries to charm you with a song about you, but then Marlon comes in and brings you outside to deal with more walkers. Now it's time to talk about gameplay because it's a massive change from the first 3 games. First off, they got rid of the cursor that was prevalent in the first 3, which I don't mind. Second, the walker fighting is new and actually interesting, making you strategize a little. There are also collectibles found throughout the episode, which I really like, and you're allowed to put them up in your room. There's also a lot more icons to show you what's happening with the character, which I like a lot. I think that this gameplay is my favorite without a second thought. It just makes everything feel more like a game to me. It's also just a lot more smooth, which I prefer. After dealing with the walkers, a hunting party comes back, which consists of a Sim, Brody, and Mitch, and you get saved by a dog named Rosie, who is Merlin's dog. When you get back inside, you get a chance to teach AJ how to apologize to people and find out about 10 sisters, Minnie and Sophie, who got killed by walkers. After dinner, you, Merlin, Lewis, and Violet play war, but that doesn't go anywhere besides some character development. You then go back to your room and head to sleep. In the morning, Merlin meets with you about making the school a long-term situation, and he asks if you can help out with some of the chores that are going on, and that consists of fishing with Violet and Brody or hunting with the Sim and Lewis, and heads or tails made me go with Lewis and Sim. After doing some hunting, you go to check on with the other group and find out that someone is screwing with the traps and smoking homemade Bible cigarettes. This puts Brody into a panic attack, hinting at what she knows. The group then decides to go to the train station after coming up short with no food, and while getting food, a man named Abel comes in, and it's revealed that he's the one who is 1, smoking the Bible cigarettes, and 2, is the one who messed up the traps. You then get the option to try and kill him or let him steal from you. You then head back to the school with as much food as you can get. When you get back, Brody has another panic attack and you head to bed. You wake up after hearing noises in the pipes, and when you check it out, it's Merlin and Brody arguing, and after Brody says too much, Merlin hits her in the head and she ends up dying after she tells you that you and AJ are in danger. Merlin then locks you in the cellar and you eventually get out after killing Walker Brody. After you get out, you proceed to call Merlin out for giving Sophie and Minnie away to raiders, and then you get to refer to Violet or Lewis, and they convince Merlin to drop AJ's gun, and right when it's over, AJ shoots him and the episode ends right there. I think I like all of these episodes, but this might be my least favorite of the 4 episodes. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the weakest link in my opinion. So for now, episode 1, Done Running, is getting an 8.5 out of 10. I love episode 2, and the more I play it, the more I like it.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out anything else to talk about, so that's your intro. You happy?
You begin episode 2 in the morning right after Merlin got shot, and you get the chance to help AJ atone or justify his actions. 10 comes in and asks you to attend the funeral for Brody and Merlin. When you get to the gravesite, Mitch proceeds to argue with you, showing his angry personality, and eventually they decide to make a vote for you to stay or leave, and the vote always comes out with you and AJ leaving.
I forgot to mention, but it's Violet, 10, and a Sim who normally vote for you to stay.
After Violet and Lewis escort you out the safe zone, you get attacked by Abel from the train station and Lily from Season 1. I find this reveal to be kinda bad. She's passive-aggressive in a way, and even if Lee showed her kindness, it doesn't matter. She sees you and him as bad people, and I think revealing the villain this early is stupid, let alone that the Walking Dead games didn't have these types of characters, and they would get killed off in an episode or 2 after they were revealed to be a villain.
What I'm trying to say is that the villains have always been the walkers, and I don't like having a main villain like they did in the TV show.
Sure, it's cool fan service, I guess, but I wish Lily was more respectful to Clem after the 3 months they went through together, and the fact that her and Lee were almost friends in a way. Violet and Lewis come back, and you get the choice to tell them to run or shoot Lily, and I chose the first option, which leads to AJ getting shot and for walkers to pour in.
What I meant to say is that walkers pour in no matter what, and AJ gets shot no matter what. If you chose the option to have them shoot Lily, Lewis ends up getting shot and nothing else happens.
You end up getting saved by a guy named James, who was a whisperer, and I actually like his character. He's soft-spoken, nice, helps AJ, and shares his idea of walkers, thinking that they're still people in a way. In the morning, you go back to the school to help AJ, and everyone seems at least okay with you staying for now. Violet then asks you to talk to her, and together you make a plan to fortify the school from raiders. With Mitch and Ruby, you head to a greenhouse to get barbed wire and any other supplies like fertilizer and propane for bombs. You then eventually head to bed and have a 2-week time skip where it's all about fortifying the school.
I won't lie, I kind of wish we got to see more of them fortifying the school. It all happens off screen.
After having a pretty scary nightmare where it calls back to the McCarroll Ranch, you wake up with AJ being all tough now, and during the day, you can see how bad everyone is doing. Mitch's bomb won't work, Lewis can't hit a target for nothing, and everyone is just in a bad shape. Then Sim and Willie are arguing about a brick trap and a log trap that doesn't go anywhere else besides a trap that you choose killing someone. Eventually, you play Truth or Dare, which calms everyone down, and then you get to help Violet or Lewis with something, and while doing that, you get to choose to be in a relationship with them or not, which is a cool moment, I guess. After that sweet moment is done, the raiders start attacking, and the important person who dies here is Mitch after he tries to protect 10 from Lily. The raiders end up leaving after taking Omar, Sim, and Violet or Lewis depending on who you choose, and then you get to use a bow and arrow to kill walkers, and I'll admit that I really like the bow combat even though I'm bad at it and there isn't much of it. The episode ends after all the chaos finishes. I like this episode a lot, and it's a good balance between a cute story and a miserable story. And I know I've said this before, but I'm not doing this justice at all, and I'll keep beating this horse until it's dead, but I will do a summary/timeline video even if one person wants it. I'm very desperate. So for now, episode 2, Suffer the Children, is getting an 8.8 out of 10. I like Season 4 more than I like Season 1. Now, wait. Before you get your pitchforks and torches out, hear me out. The gameplay is the biggest improvement I've ever seen in video game history, and it's all in the span of 6 or 7 years. I also prefer the characters more, considering that they're a lot more multi-level than the characters in Season 1. There's also no weird jumps, for example, I loved episode 3, hated episode 4, loved episode 5. There is none of that here. And these solid episodes build up for the best finale I could ever ask for. You begin episode 3 in the afternoon of the battle that happened in episode 2, and you have to interrogate Abel to find out where your friends are. And this is the most influential part to AJ, allowing you to torture Abel or show him mercy. You eventually find out where they are and get the chance to kill Abel in an act of mercy or let him turn to a walker. You eventually find the boat and then make a plan to use walkers provided by James while burning some of their supplies to sneak on the boat. You also finally meet Minerva too, and I actually hate her because of how brainwashed she is, as well as another reason I'll touch on later.
She also just isn't well developed.
You then go to see James after giving AJ some more life lessons about trauma and anger and thoughts. It's a nice scene. When you see him, his camp is completely overrun, and he asks you to not kill the walkers while he gets his mask. Then you head to a barn and have a cute callback to the Salt Lake part in episode 2, season 1. He then wants you to wear his walker mask and go inside the barn with walkers, and I actually dislike this scene a lot. It tries too hard to humanize the walkers, with one of them pushing the other just like a human, as well as the part where they all look at the wind chimes while music plays. It doesn't work for me. When you get out of the barn, this is where we get to see how much he latches on to the fact that walkers still have people inside of them, even going as far as to say that he won't bring walkers to distract the raiders because of how many walkers will die. But you knock some sense into James. When you get back to the school, Ruby decides to have a party right before you go and save everyone, and when you get to your room, you have a moment with AJ, and yep, this is where the tears start.
Something wrong? AJ?
I was just thinking about stuff while I was drawing. There are 3 kind of eyes, Clem.
Oh, yeah?
There are live people eyes. We got those. Then there's monsters' eyes. Usually look like dirty water. Other times, monsters' eyes aren't even wet. And then there are live people eyes right as you kill them. Like you did to Abel. His eyes look like you blew a candle out. He was a bad guy. I know I shouldn't feel like this. I hated him, too. I think there's something wrong with me.
You know what, AJ? Everything you're feeling is okay. It makes you a good person.
Am I good? I want to be better, Clem. Where people know I'm good, just by my face.
You're the best, okay?
I'm getting real smart.
Is that right?
Yes, because I'm always thinking all the time.
Okay. What are you thinking about right now?
You getting bit, turning into a monster.
Oh.
Yeah. The older I get, the more I see it. I don't know why. What happens then? Anyone can get bit. Doesn't matter if you're inside or outside or how careful you are.
AJ, we've talked about this a lot. If I get bit, you know what has to happen.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
But you brought it up, so we're going to.
It does something weird to my stomach. Like I'm gonna get the dookies.
AJ, I need to know you remember what we talked about. What you're supposed to do if it happens. Listen to me. If I get bit, you'll... shoot.
No. No, I'm not gonna do that.
AJ, you promised.
I don't care. I'm not gonna shoot you. If you get bit, I'd want you to bite me too.
What? You don't mean
I
that.
don't want to be alone. Please don't be mad. I can't live with you not with me, Clem. I know we've talked about it so much, but don't make me.
Alvin Jr., you know you're not supposed to talk like this. You're too strong and too brave.
I don't think I am anymore about this.
Yes, you are. You are, okay? You can't break promises, AJ.
I know.
You're not letting this go, are you?
James said...
Guess not.
that we could be around when we're monsters. Like on the inside. If you got bit and then bit me, then maybe we'd still be together. It would just be a different together. We might even be okay. You think so?
James said a lot of things about the monsters, and most of it was crazy pants, AJ.
So you don't think I would be inside my monster self?
There is no monster self, kiddo. Nothing that makes you would be in there.
Can I go patrol for a bit? Before the party?
Sure, go ahead. Be careful.
After Lewis or Violet shows up, you have a moment with them too, and you eventually go to the party after Willie shows you his plan to blow up the boat using the boiler and a bomb. Ruby then pulls out the files of everyone, and I find this moment to be fantastic because of how well it is. And it ends with a song that's called Don't Be Afraid, that was written by Lewis and sung by Minerva. You then have a dream sequence, and I'll just let it play while I bawl my eyes out from seeing Lee.
Hey, Sweet Pea.
Lee?
Why the train? You always pick the train.
I'm not sure. Maybe because this is where it all started. Where you taught me to shoot and to cut my hair. To be ready for what was coming.
You were a quick study. So, what's on your mind this time?
I'm worried, Lee. I've got a lot of people depending on me, and I don't know if what I'm doing is right.
Oh, I know that feeling. You know, I was, making it all up as I went along, right? Couldn't let on, of course.
You kinda had to think on your feet. Monsters took over the world, and you got stuck taking care of an 8-year-old girl.
You were a handful, but I didn't get stuck with anything. You kept me going. You want to tell me about what you're up against?
I'm with a new group now, and I've been in so many, and they always fall apart. But I really like this one. It's different. It almost feels like home.
That's a good thing. It's hard being alone out there.
But we're in trouble. Some bad people captured my friends, and getting them back might get the rest of us killed.
I'm not worried.
What?
Whatever trouble you're in, you get out of it. You get your friends out of it.
You don't know that.
I know you're a survivor. The Clementine I know is gonna fix it. I really believe that.
Yeah, I made it this far, didn't I?
You sure did, when a lot of other people couldn't. Never give in, Clem. Imagine how Violet will feel when she finds out you came to rescue her. You'll have given her hope again. Oh, Sweet Pea, you know you always get like this before something big. Remember how scared you were before you charged into that mess at McCarroll Ranch? You survived that, didn't you?
That was different. I was alone.
I know. It's harder when you have something to lose. But having people you care about, that's a good thing. Friends. A boy who thinks the world of you. They're fighting beside you. Because of you. Come see me again. When you've gotten them out, okay? Out and safe. Sound good? And hopefully we can talk about happier things.
Lee, I miss you so much. I wish you were really here.
I miss you too, Clementine. But we'll have to make do with pretending.
Thank you, Lee. Talking to you always makes me feel a little bit better.
I meant to ask, how's the boy?
He's good, Lee. You'd like him.
I bet. You teach him to shoot yet?
You have no idea.
I guess the world got pretty hard since I left it. A kid growing up in it, he'd be hard too. You're in my shoes now, raising a kid. Think you got a handle on it? It can't be easy. Wanting to give him a childhood, but knowing what it takes to survive now.
Oh my god, Lee. AJ's trouble sometimes. You wouldn't believe it. And he has no idea. He's growing up too fast.
Sounds like someone else I know. Wow. Just look at you. Just look at you. This group you like, they better not live in the city. You know, I told you to avoid those.
They don't. No one goes into the cities anymore. It's an old boarding school in the woods, miles from anywhere, with no adults at all.
No adults?
It works, I promise.
Time to go, Clementine. You've got people that need you.
Goodbye, Lee.
Clem, wake up. It's time to go.
I find this moment to be perfect, and I wouldn't mind seeing a remaster with Season 4's art style. Also, the moment where Lee sees Clem in her current stage is absolutely perfect. In the evening of the next day, you get to the same area you were before, and you have to use walker guts in a horde, but this time you get to grab walkers and use them as bullet fodder, so B- for originality. When you get inside, you place the bomb in the boiler room and then get betrayed by Minnie after she pretends to help you. Eventually, Lily comes in the cell and gives a lesson/villain monologue that gets interrupted by Lewis or Violet, and that gives the prompt to let AJ take the risk to save Lewis or Violet or let their tongue get cut off. Lily then takes AJ and you escape after fighting Minnie. When you get to where Lily is, James and Ten are there, and then you have a brawl with Lily that ends with James getting stabbed by her or AJ shooting her a bunch of times. I find it so stupid to bring Lily back and then just kill her or ignore her afterwards. At least with Carver, it was a new character, but for crying out loud, it's Lily who is almost the antagonist of the first 2.5 episodes of the series.
Not to mention the fact that if you let her live, she just goes away and never comes back. Like, if anything, she would try to make a final stand, but nope, she just escapes and you never see her again.
The episode ends after the bomb explodes with you on it. I love this episode. There are so many things that I can't describe. The parts that are bad more or less come down to things that are subjective or things that are just wrong with the entire game.
Also, I forgot to mention that the previously on The Walking Dead part is now voiced by Clem and has original footage instead of reused game clips. And I really love that now.
I'm not ready for what's to come after this, but for now, episode 3, Broken Toys, is getting a 9 out of 10. This episode genuinely hurts to talk about. I love this episode, and it's the best note the series can end on. The thing that hurts, though, is how sad it is. It's almost at the point where it's too miserable. I remember not being able to do anything for a day after playing this episode for the first time because of how miserable it is. Your mileage may vary, I'm just the person who gets way too attached to video games. I do think that this episode is my favorite because of how well-paced everything is, and I couldn't be happier with how it ends. But before we talk about the ending, we have to get through everything else first, so let's put this series to rest, shall we? This episode begins with a last time on The Walking Dead, now told by AJ, which I really like. You then cut back to right after the explosion happened with you losing your hat, which was pretty much the series' symbol. You eventually get off the boat and find your friends, and after they escape, Minnie ruins everything and tries to make a stand against you after being bitten on the face and arm. But you escape and find 10, and if you kept James alive, him too. You then go into a cave and either argue with AJ or fight with James, but it ultimately ends with you getting the option to trust AJ on when he knows when to kill or not. If you kept James alive, he sacrifices himself fighting walkers so that you aren't followed by them. You then get out and meet with either Lewis or Violet after they went to find you. You then get to a bridge and
Jump it.
Yeah, I think we can. We just gotta be careful not to land too hard.
Never mind the storm. Never mind the blood-red moon. The night will be over soon.
he then proceeds to mess up your leg badly with an axe, and you get across while 10 and Vi or Lewis try to help him. And if you trusted AJ in the cave, he shoots 10, leaving Lewis or Vi alive. And if you didn't, Lewis or Violet dies. Walkers then show up on the other side, and after splitting up with Lewis or Violet, if you picked them, you and AJ climb up a wall, and while doing so, the worst thing possible happens, and you get bitten on the same messed up leg. You then get to James' barn, and you have a moment where you play as AJ, and after that happens, the saddest part in video game history happens, in my opinion.
Need you.
I'm so sorry, kiddo. This is just what happens sometimes.
But it wasn't supposed to happen to you.
My little goofball.
It's Alvin Jr.
You'll always be goofball to me. Hey, look at me. AJ, please. You're such a cutie. How did I get so lucky? Gotcha.
Please, don't be silly right now. Not right now.
I just wanted to see you smile. One last time.
Don't say that. Please. Don't say that.
I need to make sure you remember.
Remember what?
The rules. What's number one?
Never go alone. So I can't leave. Not without you.
AJ,
It's your rule.
you won't be alone. Not for long. Get back to the school.
I don't know how.
Sure you do. One of the first things I ever taught you. You need to make sure they can't smell you, so... There's a fresh, juicy walker just waiting to be gutted. Grab that... You know what to do with it. next rule? What do we do when the monsters come?
Clem,
AJ,
shoot them in the head.
got any more ammo?
There isn't any more.
Okay then. Fuck. And the last rule.
I want to stay with you. I know what'll happen. And I don't care. I don't want to go. I just want to sit next to you and stay. Like that monster couple from the train station. No one would hurt us. Just sitting. Forever. Please.
Oh, sorry, kid. But no. I have a job for you. I need you to get back to your room. I need you to sleep in your bed and have friends and grow tall. Taller than I ever was, I hope. I need you to live, AJ. For me. That's your job now.
Okay, Clem. That's my job.
Last rule.
No.
What do we do if I get bit? Are you gonna make me say it? AJ, you have to kill me.
I'll just spoil this now, but somehow AJ ends up chopping Clem's leg off, which I don't know if it's possible considering all of the blood and how AJ would transport her back to the school, but it's still sad as anything can be. It then goes to a flashback where it's Clementine finding the McCarroll Ranch, saving AJ, and how she got the car that was in the beginning of the game. It then cuts back to the present after what happened inside the barn, with you playing as AJ, who is now fishing, and while you're fishing, you find Clem's hat and 10 either dead or alive. You then go to the school with Take Us Back by Aaliyah Diane, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, playing in the background. And I wish I could play it, but copyright is the thing, like I mentioned earlier. So, yeah. At the school, you find Clem with now crutches, and you have some sweet moments with her. Eventually, you go to your room, but you get to see the names of everyone behind the still not bitten team. The series ends with you placing Clem's hat on the desk. I'll talk more about my rating in a minute, but for now, episode 4, Take Us Back, is getting a 10 out of 10 to finish everything off strong. It's over. It's finally over. These retrospectives are done, and I don't know what's next for the channel, and I've been asking myself since I started this series, and I'm very sad to be ending it. But it doesn't mean that I'll quit doing The Walking Dead considering how massive it is to me. I have plans for summary videos, a cosplay, a review for The Walking Dead The Last Mile, and the Clementine book. But those are all ideas, and I might just go where the road takes me with YouTube or leave it behind. But you'll know no matter what happens. The Walking Dead video games are my favorite game series of all time, and these games are the main reason for me making a channel in the first place. These games hold some of the best characters, writing, and story anyone could ever ask for. Episode 4 of Season 4 will always hold such a special place in my heart. Everything about it is perfect, and this game is pretty much perfect, and I can't find many bad things about it. So, until forever, The Walking Dead, the final season, is getting a 9.9